Here is your complete original story. He was never more than a junior draftsman, a good kid who helped with the renders. That's what Xavier said on the brightly lit stage of the Innovate Arch Awards, his hand wrapped around the gleaming silver trophy that should have been ours. The blinding white of the stage lights erased his features, turning him into a silhouette of success, his voice echoing through the silent ballroom. Camera panned, catching my face in the crowd for a fraction of a second, just a flicker of a reaction shot. My expression was perfectly neutral. Congratulations, Xavier. You earned this. I murmured it to no one, the words a tiny, cold stone in my mouth. We met in a brutalist concrete lecture hall at university, both of us vying for the single internship spot at a prestigious firm. He had the charisma, I had the precision. His pitches were poetry, my blueprints were physics. Lost the internship, but decided to form a partnership, a perfect fusion of art and engineering. I remember our first real meeting at a minimalist coffee shop called The Grind, sketching on napkins for hours, the air thick with the smell of burnt espresso and possibility. He looked at my frantic, perfect cross-hatching and said, "Zoe, you're the engine and I'm the wheel. Together, we're going somewhere." That felt safe. The first red flag was a small one, a student competition we won. Announcement in the university paper listed his name only. An administrative error, he'd promised, his hand on my shoulder, his apology so smooth it was almost hypnotic. I believed him. The golden period lasted nearly 2 years. We landed small residential projects, then a commercial renovation. Our masterpiece was meant to be the Ethelred Hotel, a boutique eco-resort on the coast. For 18 months, my life was AutoCAD, Revit models, and late nights fueled by blue bottle deliveries. I designed the passive heating systems, the cantilevered balconies, the complex geometry of the glass atrium that became its signature. Xavier handled the client, the Sterling Group. He was the face, the voice. He started referring to it as my project in emails, a shorthand he said saved time. Then he asked me to start invoicing him directly instead of through our shared LLC. Simpler for accounting, he'd said. It was easier to just agree. The work was everything. The discovery was stupidly simple. An envelope with the Sterling Group's logo, mistakenly delivered to my apartment instead of the P.O. box Xavier controlled. It was a year-end financial summary. I saw the total project fee, $650,000. He had told me it was $410,000. I sat on my floor for an hour, the paper shaking in my hand, doing the math. Wasn't just taking the credit. He was siphoning nearly 40% of the gross revenue before paying me my half of the remainder. The betrayal was so much larger than an ego trip. It was a meticulously constructed fraud. The investigation was my new secret project. For 3 weeks, I was a forensic accountant. I used data recovery software on an old laptop, pulling up time-stamped drafts of the Ethelred blueprints from the very first week. Compiled 542 sequential file saves, all originating from my IP address. I found the original digital proposal, the metadata scrubbed but recoverable, showing my name as the primary author before he had created a new version. The deeper I dug, the more I saw it wasn't a recent greed, but a long, patient plan to erase me entirely. The breaking point was that awards ceremony. After he left the stage, he found me by the bar, holding his trophy like a scepter. Dean Holloway, our old professor, was standing nearby, as was a reporter from Architectural Digest. Xavier's smile was wide and predatory. I asked him, quietly, how he could do it. "Look, Zoe, you're a great technician," he said, his voice loud enough for the others to hear. "You don't have the vision. The Ethelred is mine. I dreamt it. You just drew the lines. Be grateful for the experience I gave you." My blood went cold. The world narrowed to his smug face. In that instant of profound public humiliation, the plan began to form. And I remembered a tiny, overlooked detail, the digital watermark I embedded in the core structural files of every major project. Cryptographic signature, a string of code containing my initials, ZK, and the file's true creation date. It was my invisible signature, hidden in the building's digital bones. He would never have known to look for it. My first call was to Ms. Davenport, a notoriously sharp intellectual property lawyer whose office was a fortress of glass and steel overlooking the city. Her retainer was $15,000, nearly all I had left. I didn't just give her a story, I gave her a hard drive with neatly organized folders. For 2 months we prepared. The closest we came to being exposed was when Xavier sent a casual text. "Hey, weird ask, can you send me that old massing model from early 2021? Can't find it." Ms. Davenport saw it instantly. "He's phishing," she said. "He senses a threat and is trying to see if you have your own copies. Do not reply. The evidence we compiled was irrefutable." Stamped emails from my server that predated his final versions. The 542 Revit file saves. Transaction records showing his payments to me were logged as contractor fees, not partner distributions. Bank statements proving I had personally purchased the advanced software licenses we used. And as an ironic flourish, a photo of our original napkin sketch from The Grind, which I had randomly posted to an old, private Instagram story with a date stamp. But the core of our case was the watermark. Ms. Davenport's strategy was surgical. We filed a formal demand for arbitration with the Architectural Guild, citing intellectual property theft and contract fraud, CCing the Sterling Group's legal counsel. Then we sent Xavier a decoy, a lowball settlement offer for just $50,000, making him think I was desperate, and this was just about a few missed payments. He arrogantly rejected it in writing. He had walked straight into the trap. The arbitration was held in a sterile conference room with gray walls and a long, polished mahogany table. Xavier arrived with his lawyer, looking bored and irritated. Sterling Group's general counsel, a severe woman named Ms. Vance, sat at the head of the table, her face unreadable. Ms. Davenport began, "We are here to establish the undisputed provenance of the Ethelred Hotel's design." Xavier smirked, launching into his narrative about vision and inspiration. Ms. Davenport let him finish. Then calmly she began presenting the evidence. First, the financial records showing the 2 sets of books. Xavier's face tightened. Then the email chains and the server logs. His bravado began to curdle into confusion. Finally, Ms. Davenport turned to the arbitrator. And now for the architect's signature. She had a forensics tech on a video call who shared his screen. He brought up the final official blueprint file submitted to the city for permits. On Ms. Davenport's instruction, he navigated to a specific layer in the Revit model, the core structural grid. "Run the script," she said. Tech typed a command line. A small data box popped up on the screen. It read, ZKOWLSKI. Creation date, 10/14/2021. Ms. Vance leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the screen. Xavier went the color of drywall. "It's a fake," he stammered, "a forgery." I hadn't spoken a word the entire meeting. Now I looked directly at him. "The lines don't lie, Xavier." The fallout was immediate and catastrophic for him. The arbitrator's judgment was swift, awarding me my full 50% of the project fee, plus $125,000 in punitive damages. The Architectural Guild suspended his license pending a full ethics review. Architectural Digest printed a public retraction, then followed up with a feature piece on me titled "The Architect Behind the Ethelred." For 48 hours, my phone was a constant buzz of calls from old professors and former colleagues, all offering stunned apologies. I let them all go to voicemail. The most painful image came a few months later, forwarded by a friend. It was a screenshot from a corporate firm's LinkedIn post celebrating a new office park in a soulless suburb. The background, hunched over a cubicle desk, was Xavier. The visionary was designing strip malls. My renewal has been quiet. I used the settlement to open my own studio, a bright, airy space with a view of the skyline. The work is steady, the clients are mine, and the peace is absolute. This morning I received an email from a new developer in Europe. The subject line was "Your vision." The first line read, "We have been following the Ethelred story." "You're not looking for someone to draw the lines. We are looking for the mind that created them." He thought he stole a building, but all he ever had was the credit.